people are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
Welcome to What's Left podcast on the Derealization Nation Media Network.
I can't afford Mountain Dew! Okay? The economy's rough right now! Obama!
Miners, I love miners.
And now, your hosts.
John, Jake, and Brad here on the What's Left podcast, the Derealization Nation Media Network. We are joined today by a very special guest, Karen Ortiz, who is running as an independent in New York's 12th district, probably the most crowded primary I've ever seen in my life. I think almost 23 people. She is a courage candidate with Citizens Impeachment, friends of the show. And you guys already know Lauren Collin and Britt, who were on the show previously. So she's committed to impeachment as well as a lot of other things, human rights, and we're going to talk about all this stuff. But first, why don't you, Karen, introduce yourself, tell our listeners who you are, why you're running, and who
I'm Karen. Oh, I'm just going to jump right in.
Go for it.
I'm Karen Ortiz. I'm a former administrative judge at the EEOC. I'm a federal whistleblower, and I'm a ticked off New Yorker, and I'm running because I am sick of our elected officials not listening to what the people actually want.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is looking at polling compared to like what politicians do, it's like it's astonishing sometimes like how popular something can be. And still to be ignored by people, and even like the growing calls for impeachment, like it's crazy to me. Like still, like you still have Democratic leadership that is just unwilling to do anything about it. I see you out there. You're probably in Chuck Schumer's social media teams, but as much as I am.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I love that because
at
that's
his office, you know, all the things in DC and New York.
Yeah, good. I have his phone number memorized.
I think he's forgotten who he works for. And there's this sense of entitlement from him and the other New York elected officials that is really gross.
Yeah. So this is a point, like, so your district is like the most tied for the most Democratic district in the country, right?
Yeah, it's super blue.
Yeah. So being from Ohio originally, like we're always told, like you can't have too progressive a candidate. You got to have these mild-mannered Democrats in these red areas because they couldn't win. So why on earth in a district like yours can't we have a real progressive candidate from the Democratic Party? Why is New York State, the bluest place on the planet, maybe next to California, represented by some of the lamest Democrats?
I think funding is such a big part of it, you know, in the wake of Citizens United that just opened the floodgates for you know, real estate lobby money, tech money, Israel lobby money to really get their hooks into these races, and people just can't say no to the money. And so that's why you wind up with such centrist Democrats in such a blue and really progressive part of the city for my district specifically, but the country as well. Yeah. There's a real disconnect.
Yeah, severe. Brad, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so I tend to vote blue because they align closest to my beliefs and are still far off. Most centrist Democrats are pretty far off from how I think we should be managing things. You as an independent, what does it look like going forward? Because obviously in an ideal world, we could really push independence and get independence en masse into our Congress and into Senate and do those things. But reality says that that's not going to happen. So what does it look like if you are elected? How do you reach across the aisle, so to speak, to bring up things like impeachment? Because we've seen that essentially the Congress is spineless at this point. No one's willing to uphold our Constitution. No one's willing to uphold the law of the land. So what does it look like for something that you are obviously dedicated to? What does it look like reaching across to bring other people into that movement?
Well, first of all, I understand the challenge that I face. I call myself righteously Delulu, running as an independent because I first I have to get on the ballot. I need 3 times as many signatures to get on the ballot as a Republican or a Democrat. So right there is a challenge. And then people kind of push against someone who's not a Dem. So I call myself progressive independent to kind of get it out there that I'm left. Um, I am I'm an introvert, but when it comes to civil rights, standing up for each other, I am a loudmouth bitch. Like I just and I will get in people's faces, and I think that's, I mean, not that we want like a scrum on the Senate or House floor, but you need to be able to fight smart, but you need to fight. And that's what I bring. I will fight and I will get in your face and I will call out the inaccuracies in your argument, but also I'll give you credit where credit's due. I mean, that's why, I'm part of this new group that's forming. I think Lauren spoke about it, the Independent Candidate Network, and we're independents all over the country. And we are hoping to get enough of us into the House that neither party will have a majority. And so Lauren Collin calls it a wedge. Not everybody loves that term, but it's a guardrail for Congress. You know, neither party is going to run roughshod and over its own members and over its constituents. So I think just bringing my homegrown kind of in your face, I'm going to say it like it is, and I'm not going to let you get away with gaslighting me and my district. And I think it sounds simple, but I think it's more effective than people give that sort of strategy or approach credit for. And I'll just go into a little bit into my story. You know, the whole reason I was kind of thrust into the spotlight a year ago was because I refused to comply with the anti-trans executive orders. And I was very loud about it. And I was the only one in my agency saying anything. And just my little voice got all over the press, sort of spurred a movement. So I look at like what I did in one instance, just speaking the truth and standing up for something, and I was able to get attention and still get attention on that particular matter. So if you have a few of us in there, say we get 10, 15 independents in there, we can definitely make a difference for sure.
That's what we're looking for. Jake, go ahead, jump in.
Yeah.
So thank you for standing with the trans community so outright and everything.
Always 10 toes down, 24/7.
But like on your website, I could tell like my biggest thing whenever we like interview someone, it's like they're always like, we, the queer community, are like a vote that people like look after, and they'll say enough just to get us on their side, or that we like, well, we need to vote for people who at least care about us slightly. But you, like, it was like adamant that I was like, oh my gosh, she truly is standing for us, with us, like everything. And I just wanted to give you like an opportunity to like speak on your civil rights and everything that you said on your website, because it truly resonated with me, and I think it would resonate with the rest of the queer community as well.
I think it was the way I was brought up. I've said this before. I was raised on Mr. Rogers and Free to Be You and Me, and I was a Girl Scout growing up. And I say this with a straight face. It's not like a cutesy story. It's the real way I was brought up, to care about everybody and to uplift everybody. And that is just a core part of who I am. So whether it was the trans community being attacked or any other marginalized group, I would have done the same thing. So it's just the right thing to do, no matter what religion, creed, color, it doesn't matter. You just stand up for people when they're being attacked. So it's that simple for me. And I I knew I faced risk. I knew that I would probably get fired, which is what happened. Um, and then I had to have like a conversation with myself. Is it worth it? And it was like the fastest conversation I ever had. I was like, yeah, at the end of my life, am I going to be proud that I stayed silent and kept my six-figure job and my window office? No. I'm going to be proud that I stood up for the trans community. And what I didn't expect was the absolute wave of love that came back towards me from the trans community and from the LGBTQIA plus community. And that's why the colors for my campaign are the trans flag colors.
Amazing.
And I did sort of survey my closest trans friends and said, is this okay? I don't want to seem like I'm like co-opting anything, but it really is to honor the trans community. And they were like, no, that's good. It's good. Like, do it. So
I respect it. I love it. It's just that simple.
yeah,
It is
it
simple.
is.
This is what I look for in a candidate, is what you're telling us now, is that lip service only does so much. For someone to be willing to put their livelihood on the line to stand up for their true beliefs speaks volumes more than what anybody could say in a speech. For you to be willing to lose your job to stand up for your core beliefs, that speaks about who you are as a person and not your political motives or anything like that. This is who you are as a human being. And that's who I want representing me. Obviously, I can't vote for you in New York, but that's the type of person I want representing me in Congress.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's who I want representing me. And if I didn't, there was one candidate that dropped out that our platform, Cameron Kasky, our platforms were pretty much the
Yeah.
same. And I was like, you go. But he dropped out and I was like, now I really got to stay in because somebody's got to get in. What my hope is that even if I don't get on the ballot or I'm not elected, that I will push the other candidates left, and they will have to bring with them at least one or two of the issues that I'm really pushing, that they will be forced to bring those to Congress with them. So I sort of have like a plan A, a plan B, and then, I'll probably come up with a plan C too.
I love it. That's what the kind of push that we need, though. Like that's the kind of stuff that like the part of the Democratic Party, I think, that died in the 90s, with people like Nather, who you'll be replacing, and more so like Schumer and even the Clintons and stuff. Like I feel like personally, like we lost the idea of these fighters. It left the Democrats. It was union bosses. It was, you stand up for your rights, and if the boss don't like it, fuck the boss, and you walk out. You know what I mean? And that sort of thing is just completely lost on America. We've been so docile after so many financial crises, and especially like millennials. Like God, we've been over and over again, just gone through this time and time again. And it's something that's missing from politics. And that's why I think, like, when you guys are talking independent, I think the true independents, the ones on the couch, will be motivated most by a truly left fighting candidate like yourself. I believe that.
I think, I'm getting to know some of the other independents, folks that are running in other districts across the country through the ICN and the Independent Candidate Network. And some of us, our ideologies are very different, but there's a respect level there. And there really is that baseline, like, I care about my people, I care about this country. And like, I had a conversation the other night with one of the other ICN members, and we are like opposite ends of the spectrum. And we had the most wonderful, like, hour-long conversation because we're coming at it. Our motivation is really the same, even though our ideologies are very different. So it's like, I can work with someone like that. I grew up, my stepdad was MAGA, and my mother is opposite. She's left as well. I mean, not as left as I am, but I think I scare her a little bit. But he was really MAGA, but we had a respect for each other, and we were able to have conversations. It's sometimes that I roll my eyes at him, yes, but I think that is another way to like reach across the aisle too. It's just this baseline of respect and, knowing that the other people that are in office have actually showed up to represent their people, not not for clout or to become like a political rock star, which is what I see happening in a lot of spaces. And I'm like, that's not the job.
Nope. Yeah, money, I think, has a lot to do with it too.
I mean, I made more money, the salary, I made more money as an administrative judge than I would as a congressperson.
Sure. I mean, like, I think the money, like, from PACs and corporations, it's candidates that have their views shaped by those people. Those are the people that are difficult to communicate with. People whose views are their views. It's much easier to communicate with somebody who's just speaking what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you can see it when you see footage of people challenging senators and congress people in Congress in the halls, and they, whether it's Code Pink or, somebody rogue like me who just kind of shows up, the contempt they have for voters is so disgusting. And I'm like, we pay you, remember? But they feel entitled to not only to brush people off in a really, really rude way, but they feel entitled to take these kickbacks or take this money. And I don't know what, I don't understand that mindset. If you want that, then go into another business. But you have no business being a legislator if you're really that swayed by big money.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of big money, Brad, you want to ask the question? So, being from probably one of the more affluent, one of the more affluent districts in the country.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So, just what does legislation look like from you to address wealth disparity in the country, to address the hoarding of wealth from the ultra rich, to address the genuine affordability crisis in the country? What does legislation look like for you? Like John said, you are obviously from a very affluent district, where
I think that's the headline, right? It's like an affluent district, and there's, people who are well known running, and those headlines don't even tell part of the story, because where I live, I'm right smack dab in the middle of public housing. And that's not their reality. That's not my reality. I would be considered middle class. So I really get annoyed at those headlines and that sort of characterizing the district in that way, because every block is different, is dynamic. And so what legislation would look like for me is like super hyper local. Like, one of the big things that I want to do is protect Section 9 housing. And there's a lot happening in my immediate community with Section 9 housing, and with developers wanting to come in and demolish all this housing and build new quote unquote affordable housing, and then converting those Section 9 tenants. Now, Section 9 has a lot more protections. It's funded by the Housing and Urban Development, and it's a way to have lower income people actually live in Manhattan. So what these developers want to do, and they're kind of in cahoots with our local elected officials, they want to demolish this housing and convert it to Section 8 vouchers. And it's been shown that when this has been done in the past, the eviction rates are higher and the tenant protections sort of evaporate. So that's something I want to do, is like shore up, what would it look like to try to shore up tenant protections under Section 9, and also make sure it's fully funded. So, I think a lot of what Congress does is like mystified, right? It's not really that complicated. Congress handles the purse strings. So instead of sending money, so much money to our military, let's allocate that money for housing, for, either building more affordable, truly affordable housing, renovating units, the housing stock that we have, or, there's much better things we can do with money than put it into, wars overseas and ridiculousness like that. So that's a big thing, saving Section 9 housing. And I definitely think our tax code needs to be revamped, and things like the transfer tax needs to come back. Tax the rich more, simple things. And our tax code is way too complicated. Now, Lauren Collin has like an amazing plan. I don't know if I could
Yes.
sell that right now, his plan to my district. I want to sort of figure out more what my district wants overall, but tax reform for sure. And then wrapped into that would be Medicare for all. Because once you get those basic needs met, a lot of the other issues fall away. So
Yes.
that's what I'm focusing on, Medicare for all, shoring up public housing, and stop making wars all over the place. It's bad for it's a waste of money. People die. It's bad for the environment.
Yeah. No, yeah. Love all of that. I mean, first of all, we are all in agreement that the defense budget is essentially treasonous. Like it's out
It's
of
insane. And then the Pentagon never passes an audit. So
never.
it's and and that's only what we see. Imagine what we haven't seen,
Yeah. Big wastes of money. And I also want to say I appreciate you including the incarcerated and the homeless in your civil rights campaign too, because they're so
Absolutely.
often overlooked. And I've been both in my life. So I personally say thank you. Jake, you want to jump back in?
Sure. So public schools lately have just been ridiculed, and a lot of parents are pulling out, or like there's not as much funding, so like it's harder for teachers and everything. So I was wondering, like, is your district like doing the most with the schooling? Like, I know some schools, like in other places we've interviewed people, they're just not funding or giving their schools the funding for certain cares that certain students need, or pulling that kind of funding out of schools. So I was wondering if you had like a stance on any of that kind of for our
I'm a
schools.
big fan of public school too. I think, I sort of leaned into the area where I had more expertise and knowledge, and want to learn more from, my community, what they want. I am also not a parent. I don't have a child in the school district. So I lean a lot on the parents in my community to tell me, what's happening and what's going on. College and vocational school should
Yeah.
be free. Um, but like, whereas we got to start that pipeline. We have to look at the beginning of the pipeline. That's actually something I really need to research more. I'm not going to try to bullshit you, but I mean, these are the reasons. I think this is like a good reason why a campaign is so long. I mean, it's like over a year long job application or interview process, but it does give the candidates an opportunity to learn about issues where they might have like a blind spot or not have as much deep knowledge, and that's one of them. So where I've been focusing on is the making sure trans kids are protected in
Right.
schools. So
Right.
that's sort of where my attention has been. You can't know everything, and any candidate that
Exactly.
does is
Yeah.
like either a freak of nature or is just, and I don't even think it's in a bad way. They're trying to bluff their way through it, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I think that's what I was searching for. Like it's a much more honest and educated answer to just say, listen,
There's so many issues.
yeah,
I mean, there's
so
so
many.
much. So, and this is just the issues that we clock in our own districts. When I talk to people running across the country, they have really locality specific issues as well. So, and it's exciting because you learn more about like what people's everyday lives are and what their challenges are, but it's also like, whoa, this is a huge job. And then we represent so many each one of us represents what, like 700,000 people. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
then you break it up, adults, like children can't vote, but they sure as hell should be in the calculus,
Right.
in the policy calculus.
Speaking of, Pam Bondi was just in Congress for an oversight hearing. That was a mess. If you had an opportunity, though, if you were currently elected, what would have been a question that you would have tried to throw Pam Bondi's way?
Oh, I would have just served impeachment papers right then and there. I'm not kidding. She should be
Yeah.
disbarred. She should be disbarred.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they're playing that, everything that's coming out of her mouth is a lie or to um, obfuscate what's happening. And so I can't believe I used that word at 9:30 at night.
I love that word.
So
I use it a lot. They do
yeah,
it a lot.
sometimes I like Jasmine Crockett's approach where she just kind of, tears you a new one. But I'm also not really into theatrics.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I don't this traitor is not worth my breath when I know she's going to lie. Let's just serve the impeachment. Let's get the impeachment rolling. That's it.
Yeah.
We got everybody
You're
in the
right.
room. Let's go.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
It's
it's
wasted.
not that yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
wasted breath to talk to her.
And when I go to Congress, because I do my own bit of activism from time to time.
Yeah,
I just
you do.
go on my own and I do my thing. You know, I've sat in on hearings and stuff too, and they perform for each other. That's another thing that annoys the hell out of me. They perform for each other.
Yeah.
The senators and the Congress people, more so the senators. I mean, and I'm just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know,
It accomplishes nothing. I want to give you the opportunity to obviously abolish ICE used to be the an extreme position. It's not. It's clearly not an extreme position.
and I had that on my website from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Abolish thyself. I'm like, come on, everybody, I've already been here.
Yeah. We could have saved lives. It's it's a organization founded on Islamophobia, and I just don't think that any organization should exist in that way. And it goes to just the waste, the money that they're wasting on this is just absurd, and they're giving it to people like Peter Thiel. So we like to see that, and I guess
Who's in the Epstein files and not just mentioned in passing.
yeah, right. Exactly. So yeah, I feel like it's not a bunch of stories. It's one story, and we need to impeach all these people. And that's why I think it's so important
Yes,
that you're working as a courage candidate with our friends at Citizens Impeachment too.
they're wonderful. They
Yeah,
are wonderful.
yeah,
Sarah and Kira have just created such a great educational platform, a movement, and they've unified us, this ragtag group of people running across the country. And they're really special, and what they've done and what they're doing is going to go down in history for sure.
All right, last couple of minutes. So I
God, that
guess
went fast.
yeah, I know it did. This has been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed having you. Um, can you just to the viewers, to the listeners, just tell them what it is you think is most important about your campaign or about the country that they need to hear right now from you?
I think the most important thing is for every voter to research every candidate and not be afraid to for a vote for an independent or vote for someone who's not in a party that you normally align with, and then look and see, are they just showing up with good policy and good talking points, or have they been doing the work all along? And that is our responsibility as voters. We cannot be lazy voters. So I would say that do your due diligence. Everyone's got a website. Everyone has a website, and put their feet to the fire if there's a policy that isn't getting addressed in your district. Make sure that it gets addressed. Call, email, whatever you need to do if an issue is important to you. As far as my campaign goes, I just want people to give me a chance. Just listen to what I have to say, go to my website, come to my events. If you think I need to be educated on a particular issue, or I'm not, addressing a particular issue, let me know. I'm not doing this for show. The last thing I wanted to be doing at this point in my life is running for office. I wanted to work another 10 years and retire. But, I felt a calling, and I'm serious. I'm a serious person. And I want the people in my district to know that the same fight that I brought to fighting for trans people, I will bring it for the district, like fiercely. I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to be liked, but I want to be respected. And so that's what I bring.
Love it. Thank you so much. Um, thank you for being here. And we hope to have you again. And guys, I'll tell you, get on. How can they donate to your campaign?
They can go to KO for Congress. That's the number 4.com. And there's a donate button. If you can't donate and you're in my district and you can volunteer, that's great too. You can either also just amplify the fact that I'm running, because that's my challenge right now, is that the press is not covering my candidacy for a lot of reasons. But so just amplification is really important. And if you don't feel comfortable giving to a political campaign, give to an animal charity or give to a Palestinian charity or something that, do it in the spirit of paying it forward. And I'm cool with that too.
That's beautiful. Love that. All right. Well, thank you all for watching, listening. Thanks for being here. Until next time, I'm John.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Brad.
That's what's left.
Choose a candidate that stands strong in their convictions.